Hey everybody, this is Khara Crosswhite Brindle. I have my two favorites again with me today, Alex and Liliana. And our topic today is all about pivoting. So what's that mean to mental health professionals slash serial entrepreneurs like the three of us? It means a lot. Keeps us from
Mhm.
getting bored, keeps us from burning out, which is a big thing right now in the aftermath of COVID. So obviously I see my two best friends here nodding as they're like, yep, this is keeping our sanity. So let's talk about first what it is to pivot. So why we would do this, talk a little bit more in depth of why you both have done this yourselves. And then we'll talk about examples of what a pivot could look like. Does that sound good?
That sounds great.
Awesome. Who wants to talk about why they pivoted first?
Liliana, you want to take it?
Alex?
I'll put you on the spot.
Uh, I think is one creativity, necessity, and not to be bored out of your mind, right? So let me give you an example. When I was in my master's program, I knew I wanted to work with children. So I did everything right away. Once I started working with children, I was like, I need a break. I need adults. I cannot just work with children. So then I started getting trainings and working with couples, right? So first pivot. Then I knew because of the niche that I work with, which is the majority is Latinos, families were coming in. So then I had to go get more training and then pivot again. And as you are getting trainings, you realize that I need more. Or what is the next level? Almost like gaming, think about that way. So then you get trained, then you go to certification. And now most of us are going to become supervisors or teachers. I think all of us are teachers and all of us are supervisors. So every time that we think like, we did it, there's something else we're like, so what is next? And this is it? What else they want to do, right? Alex, what will you add there?
I would say, yeah, I mean, that's how I actually got into the field. I started off as doing program coordination with youth. My passion has always been working with youth. And then in my program of program coordinator, I went to Metro Human Services. And then from there, it's almost like a funnel. I started broad, and then with time, I started getting clarity. And every time I pivot, it just got me closer and closer and closer to my authentic self and my vocation, my calling. And so it almost seems like you are being channeled into or funneled into every time you pivot, it gets you closer and closer and closer to who you were truly meant to be and who you aspire to be. And so I think even from undergrad to grad, from probation to diversion to clinician, I mean, even as a clinician, I see myself in my roles pivoting. First I was a clinician. I went from being a program coordinator to a probation officer to a family functional therapist to a diversion officer to a certified addiction counselor. And then now I'm a licensed professional counselor and a licensed addiction counselor. And all those previous experience and those roles that I had kind of was every pivot was helping me and giving me more experience and training for the role that I'm doing now, trauma and addiction. And so I feel that every time you pivot, it just puts some more tools in your toolbox and gives you more knowledge on how to diversify and becoming your true authentic self.
I love that. And I love this funnel analogy because I think that actually really works. Because
Yeah.
I know that, at least, I don't know if this is true for both of you, but they said start broad, figure out what kind of clients you like to work with, for example. And then eventually you start to narrow that down too, right? And what's your ideal niche or niche, depending on how you pronounce it. And so if we start broad, whether it's youth or diversion or whatever that is, and then figure out the population that really lights us up. I know we all have these conversations with our supervisees or in our role as teacher or professor. We say, you gotta have a little bit of everything before you figure out what you really love, right?
Yeah.
Correct.
So for me, similar, I started with youth and families and then moved into probation and built private practice. And then all of a sudden I started working with high functioning, anxious medical students. So I'm over here by the medical campus. And now I love working with other mental health professionals. Like, how'd that happen? Oh, I know what it is. It's workaholism and people needing work-life balance. And so I came back to our colleagues and said, I want to help you guys. So it's kind of fun to think of how that's narrowed down and really gotten specific.
And I think also one of the things that also enriches our growth and our diversification, if you may, is the fact that we get to explore various branches of our profession. For example, all of us teach at a university. All of us have gotten into the higher education, which really challenges us to really go in deeper into concepts, deeper into exploring, let's say, theories, the DSM-5 on a deeper level. And we get to even, when you're able to teach it back, it enriches you as a supervisor, as a clinician, to be able to grow in that area. And so, I know we all have gone out and done consulting. We've all done supervision. It really enriches your credibility, and it enriches your knowledge on how to be a better clinician and supervisor for those who are coming up as well.
Right. Absolutely. So let's talk about all the examples we can think of pivoting / secondary income streams or diversifying. I like that word better. Because I think it is about burnout prevention and not being bored. And so many of us do identify as creative. So this actually makes us happy to have extra things going on. So what comes to mind? What are some other examples of people pivoting or what you've done yourself as a professional?
So for me, it has been become a supervisor, a teacher. I run so many groups as a consultant. I'm not sure what will be next. Right now, I'm enjoying this phase of just giving back and learning from others at the same time, right? So it's this energy that is happening as I got to this level of leadership. And it's really nice. Another thing that I just realized as soon as I said leadership is that, like, I'm the president for the CAPT. If you were to tell me years ago, are you going to pivot and become a leader? I would be like, no. And end up being that I enjoy it. But I think that's part of learning, kind of like what Alex was talking about, the funnel, right? It's learning, defining your skills and giving back, and then learning by giving back. So anyways, for me has been coming back, supervision, consultation, and teaching. Love it.
Alex?
For me, I think it has to do the same thing as Liliana is teaching, guest speaking. I mean, I'm happy to announce, thanks to some of these recordings, I was chosen to be a keynote speaker for the Colorado Judicial Probation Conference in November. So so that's a huge benefit. I've been invited to speak on a national platform to train other Medicaid clinicians in another state around EMDR. So being EMDR certified, working with Medicaid, being bilingual, bicultural has opened my and accepting, let me take a step back. Accepting every part of myself and leaning into and becoming stronger in that identity has opened the doors to diversify and give back by being my authentic self. So being able to go and be EMDR certified, working with Medicaid with a population I absolutely love, I am able to go out to other states now and train other clinicians in what I truly love. And that really feeds my heart. I'm a teacher I love teaching. I can teach all day. And it really fuels me. And so to know that, and Khara, you know about this, you wrote a whole blog on this, on how, what if my work is my self-care? Like, and I can honestly say, when someone says, can you teach this? I go out and do my research, and I'm excited and I'm pumped up and I'm doing my PowerPoint and I'm smiling and I'm sharing with people because it really fuels me. And at the end of the day, when I present and know that this is something that I've done, it really gives you a sense of satisfaction on your different domains, mentally, emotionally, physically, in relationship. Now, when I hear people say, oh, that's not my chicken, I'm like, yes, something, they've adopted something that I worked hard to give back. And so going back to that giving, to be able to fuel yourself, feed yourself, and then give back, it's like a trifecta. It all lines up, and it really inspires you to continue moving on. And like you said, not get bored. Stay within the field. If I'm going out, sometimes when we diversify, we ignite that flame. Because I'm able to teach, I ignite the flame. Because I'm able to go do guest speaking, it reignites me. I'm able to train, it reignites me. When we're able to do stuff like this, where we talk as colleagues, it really reignites you, because we see that somehow we are giving back and we're receiving at the same time.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And I think that is a part of the burnout piece too, right? It's not just boredom,
Yeah.
it's the burnout prevention of none of us want to see 40 clients a week. Like, I don't know why that became the standard, but I know you and we've talked about this
Yeah.
offline. None of us want to do that. So how do we stay in the field and stay excited? And for a lot of us, it's changing it up, switching things up. So for me, it was those trainings also, being a supervisor, now being a consultant, a burnout consultant, studying financial therapy is my latest thing, in addition to writing books, as you both know. And so I think it does. It keeps us from burning out, but also keeps us jazzed about something.
Mm-hmm.
So with this in mind, I want to ask both of you this for our viewers. If they're excited about the idea of pivoting, now that we've talked about the benefits and what it could look like, what's one thing they could do to start that journey of pivoting? What's one thing they could embrace to actually make this happen?
I can share what happened for me. For me was really doing an inventory of what I like and what I don't like.
Mm-hmm.
What I like and what I don't like. The fact that I wake up, if they tell me, Alex, you have a class at 8 o'clock in the morning at Metro, hell yeah. Oh, wow, be aware of that. Like I will wake up at 5 in the morning, get my stuff together, PowerPoints, double check everything. I won't sleep the night before, preparing for everything, making sure super excited. Pay attention to that.
Mm-hmm.
Pay attention to that. That means that fuels you. You need a little bit more of that in your life. Does that make sense? So what I do is I'm willing to teach one class per semester. That's it. One class per semester. Why? Because that's all I'm going to give myself opportunity. Because I know if they say we have 3 classes, I'll take them all. But then I'm going to burn out, right?
Boundaries.
Boundaries. And trust me, we don't fail, but we learn. We can either succeed or learn. And so I've gotten the past where it's like I've taken too much. I've bitten too much that I can handle. It's like, what did I do? Okay, then that means I need to cut back on my individuals. I need to cut back on groups because like I said, I learned. And so now it's like, okay, I'm able to say I'm only teaching one. So I think it's very, be honest with yourself and say, what do I like? If I don't like doing groups, if I don't like doing supervision, if I don't like doing, yes, I'm an ACS, but I really don't like it. I tried it, but I don't like it. That's okay. That's okay. You're pivoting. You're going to another direction. And be honest with yourself. And again, I come back to being graceful. If it just didn't work out, it didn't work out. You learned something different. It doesn't mean you're a failure. It just means you had to pivot to a different direction.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm smiling because I thought I was going to go a different route and said, I'm not waking up 3 times a week at 8 in the morning.
Oh, no, I wake up.
I think for me, the word that comes to mind is flexibility. You have to be flexible. Coming back to what Alex said, meaning like go try it and find out, is that energizing me or draining me? If it's energizing you, do it more, but also have boundaries because of self-care. What is it that's going to work for you? I am a morning person. I am up at 5:30 in the morning, but by 8, I am done. I don't want to talk to anyone. So know what works for you. And then also take everything in, go to trainings, read. Everyone knows I love reading. I'm constantly reading. That energizes me. And part of it is because of what I'm taking in and then what I can share. So when we think about pivoting, we think about like, oh my God, I have to do or start all over again. But I think pivoting is energizing, it's fun if you see it with a flexible lens or flexible filter, because you're able to do whatever you need to do to be okay, to keep learning, and to attract and try what you want in life.
Mm-hmm. I love that. So open-mindedness, being curious about new things, trying new things. I'm hearing that from both of you. And I think what shows up for me as the tip would be surround yourself with like-minded people. Like every time we get together for breakfast or happy hour, we all get some sort of inspirational idea, right? Or jotting notes and, oh my gosh, where's that scrap of paper or a napkin? I need to write this down. And so I would say connect yourself to other people like this, right? Like it's such a gift to be just around that kind of energy and all of a sudden have a brilliant idea. I think half my ideas have been because we've just been talking about something. And it's like, oh, we can meet that need. We can address that pain point. So for our viewers, I hope you're getting something from the 3 of us of like the power of open-mindedness, flexibility, but also surround yourself with like-minded folks. They might inspire something in you or bring something to the surface that you didn't realize was exciting until you talked about it. So hopefully this is inspiring to everybody. There's a chance to pivot. I know a lot of us pivot with just our clientele, which you've heard from the 3 of us as well. So I want to normalize that. Most of us start with, who do I really want to work with? And that's okay. Any final thoughts from both of you?
I would say one of the things that comes up when we started talking about pivoting was that episode of Friends of what happens when you don't pivot. You're not going to be able to walk through a door. You're not going to be able to. It's like you're going to get stuck because you don't get to pivot. I think if anything, and I do that unintentionally, I'm saying that example. If you don't pivot, you're not going to be able to get to where you want to be. So use that as a tool, like pivot to get where you need to be, to fit into where you want to be, to become the person you want to be, whether it's be in the clinical field, in supervising, teaching, whatever it needs to be. Just pivot. Give yourself that opportunity.
Love that.
I will say, see it as something fun. If something does not work out or something you are afraid, anxious to try out, just reframe it in your mind and say pivot, and then like try it again. Right? It's almost like, let's do this. Let's see where it goes.
Right.
Have
It's
fun
excitement,
with it.
not anxiety.
Yes.
Yeah, I
Go
love
with
that.
it.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I know it's benefited all three of us, which is why we wanted to talk to others about it. So hopefully viewers, you're getting something from us and feel inspired to give it a shot. You know, you never really know what you like until you try it. So that's what you're hearing from the three of us. Alex, Liliana, thank you so much for doing this video again with me. I always feel invigorated after we do them, and I know the community is getting something out of them. So thank you both.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right, viewers, stay tuned for more videos. We'll see you next time.